everybody. My name is Rory, and I hope you guys are having a great day today. If this is your first time here, which it may or may not be, it's been a long time since I've posted a video, but in any case, I hope you're having a wonderful day today, and welcome to Rory Be Craftin'. So, in today's video, I'm going to be working on my Bowsette and Prince Peach cosplay duo. Specifically, I'm going to be working on these horns that, of course, I'm making this portion of the video after the fact, but I did make some really pretty horns. So go ahead, sit back, relax. If you like what you see today, or if you want to see more, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment. And if you really like what you see, I did just start a Ko-fi page. So if you want, you can buy me a coffee. I like coffee. I've got my coffee right here. But anyway, let's jump right into the video. So here I am just unrolling the EVA foam that I got from the craft store. As you can see, it was pretty rolled, so I had to work with what I had. And I actually ended up cutting out a smaller piece of this, which you'll see in a couple seconds. When I started this project for the horns, I actually started off with craft foam. I thought it was the same thing as EVA foam, and what I did, I had two 2mm sheets and I stacked them together, and then I started cutting and realized that's not going to work. So I ended up going to the store. I need a couple other supplies anyway, but went to the store, got actual EVA foam. Right now I'm working with 5mm high-density foam, which I also learned I probably should have used low-density foam for this. At least that's what Kamui Cosplay on YouTube said, but it's fine. This will work. It's a learning curve, and you know what? I'm just gonna power through it, and I'm gonna work with what I got. And that's actually a big part of why I wanted to start this channel. I want it to be a safe space for crafters of all shapes, sizes, disciplines, what have you, to learn new things and try out things that we might not be comfortable with. In this case, I may be really good at sewing or crochet or sometimes art, but this is something I've never done before, and it's kind of daunting, but you know what? It's a trust the process sort of thing, and it's a learning process. And that's life. So here I am just struggling to cut this stuff out. I had an X-Acto knife because I thought that would work pretty well, but I think I should have gotten a stronger knife instead. But in any case, this worked out easy enough, I suppose. There were some parts where I had to cut things at an angle that were a little tough, and you can see I'm struggling just a little bit to get them undone. But I figured out a cut and rip method was working for the most part, so I kept with that and figured, you know, this will work. And here I am, I made sure that they matched up right because I was a little worried that I cut this out wrong. But nope, I cut it out right, surprisingly. Oh, I keep knocking over my pin cushion there. Dang, it's kind of weird, like, talking to myself as I watch myself struggle with EVA foam. Hopefully you guys find this entertaining. It looks like I have just a couple more horns left to do, or parts of the horn. Keep in mind, this is only for one of the horns. I end up having to do this all over again for a second horn. In total, it was 5 pieces. You've got 2 of piece A and 2 of piece B and 1 of piece C, something like that. I bought this pattern on Etsy, which I'm sure I posted a link in the description box, something like that, so that way you guys can check it out. They had a tutorial too that I roughly followed. I have a hard time paying attention when there's no voiceover, which, okay, no hate to the creator of this. It's just not my cup of tea. I prefer having voiceover information, but in any case, it was pretty straightforward and I was able to figure it out. And the nice thing too is this pattern was only, I think, like $3 or $4. It was pretty cheap, so for a first time EVA foam crafter, sort of whatever you want to call me, this was not too big of an investment, so I am glad about that. Here I am actually watching the video and making sure I've got it all right. So just making sure everything will match together. And I started off with rubber cement. and I was just testing it on some scrap pieces to make sure it actually worked. And here I am reading the instructions because I didn't read them beforehand. As you guys will learn about me, I do that quite often. And here I am realizing it wasn't working. So I tried it again anyway because I bought rubber cement thinking it was contact cement. And Google says technically it's contact cement, but technically it doesn't work on EVA foam. So I got this tacky glue that I thought would also work, and trying to dry it off just a little bit so it gets tacky. And it also did not work very well, so I started getting a little bit frustrated. You probably can't see my face really, but if you can tell by my lip facial expressions, you can tell I'm probably not super pleased, but it's fine. Again, this is a learning process, and I'm just trying to figure things out as I go, really. I haven't found any super good tutorials that were beginner friendly, so just, again, it's a learning process. So then I switched to hot glue, which is what was in the tutorial. Here I am just testing it again on some scraps. It took me a while to find a hot glue gun because if you can't tell, my house is half storage and I don't know where everything is. So I had to go find my hot glue gun, and it worked so much better. And then I looked it up online and realized that it doesn't give a good seam, which I'm going to realize here shortly when I start sanding and painting and trying to finish it up. But in any case, it worked, and I was able to glue the pieces together pretty decently, I'd say, for a first timer at least. Doing a voiceover on myself is weird. Does anybody else get that way? I feel like I've been talking for a long time. I'm looking at my timer and it's only been 7 minutes that I've been talking, but it's fine. I think the hardest part of this is actually going to be coming up, but getting through these curves was so tricky. Just trying to get it to stick without it unsticking the previous sections that I glued. But it was especially difficult when I started getting the two AB pieces together. So that's where I think I struggled the most here. But with time, I think in total this took me about an hour to do. Maybe like 45 minutes. But it took me some time, and I was able to figure it out though. And again, just watching the tutorial a couple of times throughout this process. Oh, I just noticed my husband's in the background. That's fun. But yeah, just did a lot of gluing, and I'm probably going to cut the frame here because there's just a lot of me gluing, and I do this again for the next horn too, so I'm going to skip to when it's done. So I meant to put an after picture here, but I forgot, so just kidding. Anyways, here I am starting to sand out the EVA foam. This way it can get nice and smooth, at least that was the goal. As you can see, I don't have a rotary tool, so this was pretty difficult doing it by hand with just plain old sandpaper. But you know, safety first. I was wearing gloves and a mask, and then the wind started picking up a lot, and it eventually started just pouring down rain, so I had to stop and continue this at a different day when it wasn't windy or raining. So here I am the next day. I ditched the gloves because it made it really difficult to work with the sandpaper, but I kept the mask on because, you know, I don't want to breathe in EVA foam particles. That just doesn't sound very appealing to me. So I kept doing this painstakingly by hand with a 220 grit sandpaper and just try to get all the edges nice and smooth. Some of the glue was a little bit raised, so I had to go through with an X-Acto knife and kind of trim up what I could, and then just, you know, kept sanding and sanding and sanding, and then I did the whole thing all over again with a finer grit. I used 600 grit just to smooth everything else. At least, again, that was the goal. It didn't work out super well. I think I just got tired and lazy and didn't want to keep working on it. But yeah, rotary tool would have been probably a better investment to do, but we'll see. If I get more into this sort of craft, then I'll probably invest in a better method of sanding EVA foam. Sanding, 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 can you tell that I lost my mind? Alright, so now we're cut to when I started to prime the EVA foam. I used the Plaid FX EVA foam primer that I got from the craft store, and I realized pretty quickly that my horns weren't clean enough, so as you can see I was kind of wiping with a paper towel just a little bit. Ironically, I was using the EVA foam primer to clean up. It's interesting. It's not important, but I did 2 layers of primer, and then I went through and did some paint with just plain acrylic paint that I got from the craft store. I used like an ivory color because I thought that would look more like a bone. It ended up looking more white than anything though. And then after that, I sealed everything with a couple layers of Mod Podge. I used the satin finish so that way it wouldn't be matte, but it wouldn't be shiny, if that makes sense. And I think it turned out pretty good. I did get a glossy one as well that I'm going to use for some other prop pieces. But I didn't film that part because I forgot. And it's just the same process. You can see that I know how to paint. Sort of. Anyway, is the final product, at least how I've got it so far. As you can see, there is a little bit of cracking, which you can see more in this zoom in here. There is some cracking, which I think might have been a combination of not heat sealing and also using just a plain acrylic paint. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the results. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you really liked what you saw today, be sure to like and subscribe, maybe buy me a coffee, whatever floats your boat. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making these horns, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye!